Welcome to Dungeon Hero. Dungeon Hero is a new zine-based game that you can play solitaire. It comes in these little zine booklets that you can download and print out. They're very easy to assemble. There's another video that shows how you assemble them, but you just basically print them out, cut down the middle, and fold them. And they make these little booklets. And they're fun, they're portable, and there's a lot of fun adventuring that gets packed into these little booklets. So this video is to show you how to play. There's another video that shows you how to assemble them, but this one's about how to play. And what we'll do is we'll go through a character creation process and we'll do a little bit of adventuring and you can follow along. So when you download it, it comes with three things: the core rules and the two adventures. The core rules has the character creation. That's how long it is. It's very easy. And then it explains how to play, plot points, enemies, winning the game, and then gives you an example. So we'll put that aside for now. So to create a character, all you do is you just dream up 8 different aspects of your character. They can be anything you want. They can be what class you are, like an archer or a warden or a ranger or whatever. They can be what race you are, elf, human, dwarf, whatever. They can be what equipment you're carrying, like an ancestral sword or plate mail or a shield or whatever. Or just various capabilities you have, like if you wanted to make a wizard, you could say, I can cast fire spells, or I'm a cleric and I can cast healing, or whatever it is you want. You just write them down and you just choose 8 defining characteristics of yourself. And then you assign a set series of dice to them, ranging from D12 to D6. And that's what I've done here. So my character is Argo. I envision him as kind of a stealthy, bow-wielding ranger type character. And he's characterized by, he's first and foremost been raised as an archer of the woods. He's a ranger, he's got a lot of experience. So I gave that my D12, because just to make him super capable. He's cautious with a D10. He's got his ancestral bow with him that he likes to fight with. That gives him a D10, so the D10 and D12 make him a pretty good fighter. He's stealthy with a D8. He's not quite as stealthy as he is a good fighter. He's got a chainmail hauberk that can protect him. He's a bit on the scholarly side. He's studied with the scholars of the monastery and stuff, so he's got a D6 on that. He carries a rope and a lockpick that he can use in certain circumstances, and those are D6s. And all characters start with 30 health and 15 stamina. That's it. That's character creation. I'm done, and I can just jump right into playing. Now, when you grab one of the adventures, there's even a character sheet on the inside, so you don't even have to write all this down here. If you didn't want to, you could just write it inside and take it with you and play. So the way the game works is you can see here that there's a bunch of paragraphs that you're going to be reading and a numbered list of stuff that you can encounter. And we'll go through how that works. But the core aspect of the game is a 2x2 mechanic. So if you're familiar with Fable on your table, what you're going to be doing is you're going to have 2 dice for you and 2 dice that are opposing you. So at any given time, the adventure is going to be generating dice, and it will have 2 dice at a time. So it might have a D10 treacherous footing and a D6 howling winds, or something like that. And that's what those 2 dice represent. And then what you need to do is figure out, how am I going to respond to that challenge? Well, I might want to be cautious and stealthy, or I might want to be cautious and use my ropes. Like, say I want to be cautious and use my rope, that would be a D10 and a D6. So I'd pull those. And then I'd just roll them all and see who gets the highest. In this case, my rope comes out on top, and so that was the deciding factor of success in this situation. I had my rope with me and it saved me. So I had the highest on the rope and I can just continue on with my journey without taking any damage. So that's how that works. And so we're just going to play through and start generating dice for the dungeon. So it says it starts the game with freezing snow, D6. So there's a D6 from the dungeon, and I'm going to note that here. Freezing snow, and that's a D6. And then I read the paragraph. These locked paragraphs mean that you stop and just read that whenever you encounter them. You stagger through the freezing snow, and in the darkness you see the faint glowing of a fireplace at an encampment. So we're going to try and get to that encampment. That's our first challenge in this adventure. And now we're into the adventure proper. What we're going to do is we're going to start rolling a d6, and then we move that far down through the list. So let's roll a d6 here. There's a d6. 3. So we go down to 1, 2, 3. D8 snow slide. Oh my goodness. So D8 snow slide. And this is paragraph 3. Okay, so what we do is we combine those and imagine a dangerous situation that combines the 2 dice that are in play. So it's a D6, oops, that's a D10, and a D8. So this is what's threatening us right now. So let's say that I'm making my way frantically towards the light, and the snow under my feet just slides out from under me, and I'm tumbling down the side of a hill. So let's see, do any of these apply to that? I probably don't have time to pull out my rope. My chainmail hauberk might prevent me from getting hurt on rocks and stuff, so we can pull that. And maybe if I was cautious, I could have seen some of that, so let's pull cautious. So we'll just roll all this. 10, 6, it was pretty dangerous, but luckily I was cautious and I took a step back from the edge before I would have tumbled way down and hurt myself. Okay, so I can move on. So now we're at snow slide, so I roll a d6 again and just move down that much further. 4. So I go down to 7. Oh, but there's a locked paragraph there before I get to 7, so I stop and I read it. It says, you meet with the village chieftain, and he agrees to give you shelter for the winter if you agree to help his men fight the frost giant Jarl, who has set up camp in a nearby ravine and has been conducting raids against his people of late. You have no choice but to agree and set off with him and his men. So we've met with the chieftain, and we're going to head off and try and fight this frost giant Jarl. Okay, so now there's a new rule. Nice. I roll 1d8 plus 2. 1. 1 plus 2 is 3. You have that many Vikings that you can use to fight enemies. So there's 3 other Vikings with us on this journey. I'll put these over here to remember. Each Viking you spend adds plus 2 to one of your die rolls, or they can take all the damage from one roll. Each time you use a Viking, add a d10 despair trait to the environment. So right now we have a d8 and a d6, and if we had to use one of our Vikings, we'd have to discard the oldest one and replace it with a d10. So things get harder when we use those Vikings. So, okay, so we've dealt with that new rule, so now we just need to start rolling d6 again and see how far we go. 2. So 1, 2, we're on 8. Mountain slopes. Mountain slopes. And that's a D8. Okay, so, and see, now that we have 3, we're only ever going to roll 2. So when we get 3 of these, we just cross out the oldest one. Easy peasy. So the environment has 2d8 that's threatening us right now, and we've got snow slides and mountain slopes. So we're trying to climb up these slopes that are prone to just sliding down. So what are we going to use to deal with that? I think it's time to use a rope, trying to go up mountain slopes. And I don't think we need to be stealthy yet because we're not near the frost giants yet. So let's just be cautious. So I will be cautious. So let's roll those. And okay, they beat us this time. It's a 6 to a 5. That means that I would take 1 point of damage. So you take the highest value on either side. They got a 6 for their highest. I got a 5 for my highest. 6 minus 5 is 1. So I would take 1 point of damage. Now I could spend a point of stamina to force them to re-roll that, but it's only 1 point of damage. So I will take 1 point of damage. So it's a arduous climb up the side of the mountain. And it's taking its toll. Okay, so let's roll a d6 and see what the next challenge is. So we're at 8, so we go to 10. d6, dropping temperatures. Uh-oh, it's getting colder and colder. That's 10, and that's a d6. So we cross out snow slide. So we're out of the area where the snow slides are happening, but it's getting colder and colder as we go up the mountain. So now, I think we still need to use our rope because we're still doing the mountain slopes and my rope is a d6, but maybe how bundled up and everything I am now should apply to the temperature. So I'm going to use my chainmail hauberk and my other armor and roll and see how that does. 3, 2, 2, and 8. Ouch. Okay, so now I would be taking, my highest die is a 3, theirs is an 8, so I would be taking 5 points of damage, and I only have 29. So I think now's a good time to spend a point of stamina. So I'm going to spend a point of stamina and re-roll that 8. And I get another 8. Great. Let's do it again. I'm really burning through the stamina because this is an arduous task. 7. Let's do it again. That's still 4 points of damage. 5. Okay. 27. So yeah, those mountain slopes are really taking their toll. It's a long, arduous trek up the hill. You can get a lot of information about the fiction by looking at which die is the highest. Like in this case, the mountain slopes was highest, so I think about what it would mean for the slopes to be the deciding factor in the challenge. If it was the d6 that was highest, I'd think about the temperature being the deciding factor. So let's keep going. 3, so we go to 13. What's 13? A chasm of ice. Chasm. And that's a d8. So we've gotten out of the part where there are the slopes, and we're going across a snowy field and the temperature is still dropping, and we come across a chasm that we have to cross. Well, I'm definitely going to be cautious at a chasm, and I think my rope is going to come into play there. And we're still at a d6 and a d8. Let's see how we do crossing the chasm. 5, 4, 4, 2. Take a point of damage from the chasm. Well, let's do it. It's exhausting getting across the chasm, but we manage. All right, let's roll again. 2. We're not rolling so well here. We've got very slow progress. So 15, d6 rising above the tree line. Okay. So above tree line. So we're coming out of the forested area and up above the tree line, where it's even colder and it's long visibility, so the frost giants might see us coming now. So maybe, I've still got the chasm in play, so maybe I should still keep the rope going. And we realize that the trees aren't providing us shelter anymore, so we're gonna have to start being stealthy. Have to be careful about how we do. And we're still at D8 and D6. 2 and 3 and 3 and 3. Okay, here's a good example of a tie. So we've tied all three of the highest dice. When all of the highest dice are tied, what you do is you throw out the ones that didn't match, and you re-roll, or it would only be this one because all three. You throw out that one and you just roll what's left. 8, 2, and 3. So I'm taking 5 points of damage again. This is not going so well. I'm going to spend a point of stamina. 4, that's more like it. I'll only take 1 point of damage. So it's still taking us a while to get across that chasm. But we finally make it across. All of the Vikings do. And let's see what happens next. 3. So we're to 18. Howling winds. Making us bundle up and trudge through. And we can't see very well where we're going. And we're up above the tree line and there's no shelter. So we're still dealing with that. So I'm gonna go back to my hauberk being applied. And maybe the winds give us some cover, so maybe I can just be cautious instead of stealthy. So let's see. 2, 1, 4, 3. I'm just gonna take the damage. 23. The howling winds are just biting cold. We're gonna be frozen solid by the time we get to the fortress. 2. Wow, this is slow going. Sometimes it's like this when you play. Sometimes you get a bunch of 6s and you scream through. Icy remains of a battlefield. So we've stumbled across a place where these Vikings have tussled with the frost giants. And I guess I'm going to imagine that they lost. So there's this field where there's the broken bodies of these Vikings. And you'll notice that there's a little gemstone here. Now what that means is we have an opportunity to get loot here, treasure here. We can imagine that as sifting through the battlefield and maybe finding some mementos or useful equipment that we can find. So this is an opportunity. If we succeed, well, this is one of our elements of the environment, we get to take a loot. So let's write battlefield. We haven't had a combat yet, so we'll get one of those soon probably. Okay, so we have a D8 and a D6 again. And so now, let's see, we're still got the winds. So I'm gonna still rely on my clothes, my hauberk. And I guess I will continue being cautious because these people were slain and there might be giants around because obviously they were here to kill these people. 6, 6, 4. The highest on their side is a 6. The highest on my side is a 4. I'm taking 2 damage. Now I could re-roll to try and get some of that precious loot, but I think I'll just take the 2 damage and conserve my stamina. All right, let's see what happens next. 4, so we get to 24. And that's Rime Ravens. Here's a combat. So flitting over the the snowy horizon come these big black birds with cold blue eyes, and they're going to attack us as they hang out in old battlefields and attack scavengers. So rime ravens. Now this is an example of an enemy. They have a D8, so that's what their die is, so we can get rid of these winds. They came out when the wind stopped, I guess. And they have a combat value of 6. That means they can take 6 damage. So let's pull 6 damage over here. And we'll keep track of that. And then we will fight them. So let's see. So I'm going to fight them with my Archer of the Woods and my ancestral bow. Here's where I really shine because I've got some good combat stats. And they have a D6 and a D8. And I need to get 6 difference of success in order to defeat them. And I can accumulate that over multiple rolls. So here's an 11. My highest is an 11. Their highest is a 7. 11 minus 7 is 4. So I do 4 damage to them. So take that 5 out, do 2. So they've still got 2 hit points left. So we keep fighting. Okay, my highest is a 5. Their highest is a 4. 5 minus 4 is 1, so I do 1 point of damage. My highest is a 10. Their highest is a 5. I do 5 points of damage. I kill them. So I've defeated the rime ravens, and whenever you defeat a rime raven, you get to take a loot token. Let's move these. So I'm going to take 1 loot token. I finally earned my first loot token. I'll put it over here. At the end of the game, that's your score. So you're trying to accumulate loot tokens through the course of the adventure. All right, so now I would roll a d6 to continue, but the next thing is a lock item, so I'll just read it. After a harrowing journey up the mountain, your group comes within sight of the Frost Jarl's fortress. It will be difficult to enter. The chieftain whispers over to you, saying that if you've never fought giants before, you need to keep an eye on their attacks from overhead. New rule, choose one of your traits. When fighting a frost giant, you may add +1 to its roll. So when I'm fighting a frost giant, I can choose one of these and give it a +1. I might just do Archer of the Woods. I could also do my bow, but I think I'm going to do my Archer of the Woods because that's just his expertise in archery and fighting, and so that'll be his shtick there. So I'll add it to that when I'm fighting frost giants. Okay, so I continue. D6. 4. So 24 plus 4 is 28. So let's see what 28 is. D6, keeping to the shadows. So we're going to keep to the shadows of the rocks on this icy plain, trying to approach the fortress without getting too obvious. So we've left the battlefield behind. No, we haven't. The rime ravens we left behind because we defeated them. So it's still the battlefield and the shadows. Shouldn't have crossed that out. So we're keeping to the shadows. That's obviously stealth. So that's a D8. And just being cautious is good. Keeping an eye out for frost giants or rime ravens. Okay, my highest is 8, their highest is 6, so I'm okay. So I continue. So now I would cross out the battlefield. And let's see what my next thing is. 4. So that's 32. So 32 is massive doors. Okay, we've been stealthy, we've been creeping up, and we've made it to the massive doors of the fortress. We need to figure out a way to get in through these doors. So D6. Let's see. Lockpick makes sense. I'll be picking those locks. And we're still trying to be stealthy, so let's do a D8. 6, the highest is 6, their highest is 5, I succeed. Okay, good. I like that. Okay, 6, hey, finally we get some good progress here. So 38. D10 Frost Giant Sentries. Strength 8. Oh, so sentries. Okay, cross out the shadows. I guess we're not creeping up anymore. They've seen us. So these are D10, and they have 8 hit points. So 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, let's fight them. Okay, I've got the Archer of the Woods and my bow, and I've got my +1. They have a D6 and a D10 because these guys are kind of tough. So let's see what happens. Looks like my bow is the deciding factor here. Their highest is the 6. So 8 minus 6 is 2, so I do 2 damage. I pepper them with my bow. Sentries are coming at us. 3, 3, 7, and 5. Oh, they're getting the upper hand on us. I think I might use a point of stamina now to re-roll that. I think I can do better than a 3. I can. All right, so I'll just take that. So 18. That was not a good use. Okay, let's roll again. 9, 5, 2, and 2. Oh, I forgot to add my +1 last time. So that's a 6. I'll take the damage. I'm down to half health already. That's not good. 7 plus 1 is 8, so I do 2 points of damage to these sentries. 1, 2, 3. So I'm down, got them down to 4. 2, 1, 2, 1. We've got a tie here, so we set those aside and re-roll. 6, 4. Do 2. That goes up to a 7. I do 3 points of damage to him. One more damage to him to finish this fight. 10 versus 5 is 5 points of damage. They're done. Okay, so I've defeated these sentries, and I get another loot. Very good. So I cross those out. And I believe, yeah, okay, so the next thing is a lock. Your group has penetrated the Jarl's fortress. It won't be long before the bodies of the guards and the sentries your group has dropped are discovered, and the alarm is raised. You need to find the Jarl and kill him while you still have the element of surprise. Okay, so let's roll a d6 to see how far we go. 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 to 42. D8, a trainer and his ice hounds. Oh no. Trainer and hounds. And he's a D8, but I have to fight 2 combats with 8 and 8. So 5, 6, 7, 8. And then I'll do it again. All right, I'm gonna pull out my ancestral bow and my Archer of the Woods. They have a D6 and a D8. Let's see how it goes. 11 goes up to 12 versus 5 is 7 points of damage. Pound. 8 and 6. He does 2 points of damage to me. No, 1, because that goes up to 7. So that's actually a 14. (10) versus 5 is 5 points of damage. I kill him. So I killed the trainer, but then I also got to deal with his hounds. And they're 8 points. 4 goes up to 1, 5. 7 minus 4 is 3. Uh, 9 versus 7 is the highest, so I deal 2 points of damage. 10 versus 6 is 4, and I defeat them. Now the nice thing about this is that's 2 enemies, so I get 2 loot. Nice. All right, so the trainer and the hounds are down. Just inside the doors, too. 2. 44. So let's see, 44. Ooh, I find a smithy. So I found the place where the blacksmith works for the frost giants. It's a D10, and it's a loot opportunity, because I imagine I can find useful tools in there, perhaps. I can find something that's useful. So let's see. Cautious and stealthy, I think. D10 and D8. There's my D8, there's D10. And I'm facing a D6 and D10. Oh no. He rolled a 10, and my max is a 1. Time to bust out some stamina, if ever there was a time. 9. Gonna reroll that 10. 4, that's more like it. I'll take the 3 points of damage. All right, so I didn't get the loot though, but I think I'm getting hurt enough. I think I'm gonna just need to save that. Okay, so sneaking through the smithy, we got noticed by somebody and we had to fight them. 1, 45. What's 45? The blacksmith. He found us. Okay, so the blacksmith comes out. This is another enemy. He's a D12. This guy is tough. He's got big muscles from working the forges, and he's got 12 hit points. This adventure is not going so well. We are down to about a third of our health and only 9 stamina left to deal with it. But I'm pulling out my good dice. But he's got a D10 and a 12 too. We're evenly matched. Wow, this is gonna be a tough fight. But I got my +1 on my roll. Oh no. That goes up to a 3, but he rolled an 11. Yikes. So I guess I could take 8 points of damage. I think now's the time to use one of my trusty Vikings. The blacksmith comes out of the shadows and sees us and picks up a giant hammer that he uses in the blacksmith shop and just takes out one of our compatriots. That's not good. Okay, 1 and 3 versus 9. Man, that goes up to 2. Doesn't help much. I'm going to use a stamina point. See if I can roll well on this. 7. There we go. Okay, I beat everybody, so I do 1 point of damage. No, 2, because +1. All right. 2, 8, 9. That goes up 1 to 11. So 11 minus 2 is 2. So I do 2 more points of damage. 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah. 12, and his highest is 7. That goes up to a 13, so that's 6 points of damage. Nice. Uh-oh, he scored an 11, and my highest is a 6. This is a big fight, so I'm going to use another point of stamina to make him reroll that 11. 6. Okay, we're tied, but now it's a D12 versus a D10. 8 versus 7, so I do 1 point. Too bad that's not my Archer of the Woods, or else I'd be finishing him right now. That was an 8. 8, 8, 7, 3. Facing off with the D12s. Here we go. 6 and 12. Ouch. That's 6 points of damage. Well, no, it goes up to 7. I will force him to reroll. I'm pretty sure I can get him lower than 11. 7. That's a tie. Okay, I'll take it. 7 and 6, 1 point of damage, or 2 actually. Okay, so I have defeated the Blacksmith. I get a loot. He was tough, but he's down. And we're still in the smithy. Oh, the doors are long gone. Okay, let's see where we go from here. 5 from the Blacksmith is 50. We have an overheard conversation. We overhear the giants talking about something. Something concerning. Maybe they're planning on something that we didn't expect. Maybe they've got... or maybe we can overhear where the throne room is from that. That might be good too. Well, if we're going to listen in on a conversation, we definitely need to be cautious and stealthy. So that's a D8 and a D10. So D10, D8, and they've got a D8 and D10. That's my D10. Okay. Let's see if we can overhear without being discovered. Double 8s and a 5. Yeah, I think we hear. So we get a clue as to where the throne room is. Oops. Oh well. Yeah. So let's see. We'll do one more roll, and then we'll leave it on a cliffhanger to see where we go. 52. D10, plans for conquest by the Jarl. Oh, yeah. So what we were hearing was the giants are planning on attacking the humans. So it's a good thing we heard this and that we're here. Maybe we can put a stop to it before all the giants descend on the humans en masse. Conquest. And that's a D10. Maybe we overhear the Jarl himself talking about it, so it's even more dangerous to listen in on the conversation. But we're going to do it anyway because we're stealthy and we're cautious. And that's a D10 and a D8. 8, 8, 6, 1, and we successfully listen in. Okay, well, we're down to the bottom of the paper, and I think it's pretty clear how the game is played. We're going to leave it as a cliffhanger. Will we manage to get into the throne room and assassinate the Jarl? Are we going to make it out when we try to run for it out of the fortress back to our encampment? Are we going to survive? Are any of our Vikings that we bring along with us going to survive? Or are we going to perish in the snows of the fortress of the frost giant Jarl? I've got 5 loot so far. That's my score. Not doing so well there. I'm down to 11 health and 6 stamina, and I haven't even gotten to the big fight yet. Wasn't doing so well, but you never know. Maybe you could roll really well and squeak out the win. Anyway, that's Dungeon Hero zines. Again, there's the core rules that you download, and it comes with 2 adventures. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and go to itch.io to download these zines. Thanks for watching.